Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is the first video of 4 videos about what I've read in 2025. It's the start of February, which means I need to tell you about what books I read in January. To start off with, first, let me just tell you what we're doing here. I'm filming a little segment at the end of each month about what I read in the month, and then I'm going to put them together and make 4 videos so you get one every 3 months. So in January I finished 2 books. The first book I read was A Soul of Ash and Blood by Jennifer L. Armentrout. To track my reading, I use a reading journal and do a little spread for each book I've read and track how many pages each book was, things like that. So, my books I read in 2025 now looks like this. So you can see that I started a 3rd book but didn't quite finish it in January. This is my January spread. You can see that this is the first book I read, Soul of Ash and Blood. This book was the 5th book in the Blood and Ash series and it was amazing. It was 5 stars, 5 out of 5. There was 280 pages in it and it was published in 2023. Didn't take me long to finish it at all. I started it just before January and actually finished it on the 2nd of January. I loved it that much. So it was actually kind of like not a prequel, but we went back in the story to the first book, the time when that was going on, but we had the whole book from Cassie's point of view, and I thought that was going to be like a bit boring maybe, because like we know what happened basically, but no, it was really good. Would recommend reading the Blood and Ash series if you want a bit of romantasy. And it made me actually fall back in love with the series, because I felt like I really did still like the last book, the 4th one in the series, but I was like, you know, it's continuing on, it's not quite as good plot lines. I'm kind of like, I like the characters, but you know, I was thinking what else could the author do with this series? And yes, some people might say that this is a bit of a like grab for money, going back again and not continuing the story, but I actually thought you got to know a lot about the characters, especially Kaz, about what happened and why maybe he does things in the other books certain ways and how he reacts and what he was like actually feeling, because the other books after the first book have his point of view as well as Poppy's. And in the end, in the book there was chapters going back to the present day and what he was telling Poppy, and I just thought he could really see the growth really well, because he could reflect on his past times and why he did things and some things like that. So that's not like major spoilers or anything, because I'm not telling you anything in detail, but yeah, 5 out of 5. And the green journal spread I did for that book is here. Of course I drew some copies. So the 2nd book I finished in January was The Dragon Keeper by Robin Hobb. It was 553 pages, published in 2009, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I read that from the 3rd to the 16th of January. Yeah, so I gave that 4 stars because it was a good start to the next series in the realm of the Elderlings. It's the 4th series in that realm of the Elderlings, so it's got a lot to live up to, and I think it did a better start of carrying on the series as a whole than like the Mad Ships did, and don't come at me for that one, but that one wasn't my favourite. It was still like 4 stars, continuously, but it wasn't a 5. None of them met the level that Pits in the Fall first series or third series did for me. But this one could be good. Could be good. I do really like the characters in it. I think there's a lot of potential for the series about what could happen, so I am looking forward to reading the next ones. So the book spread for that was this. So the third book that I started reading in January is the Dark Volume, which is the second book in the Glass Books series, as you can see, getting through it, and of course using a homemade bookmark of Celeste Temple with a little quote on the back from the first book. The Dark Volume was published in 2008 and I read 320 pages of it in January. I started it on the 17th and I've not finished it yet, but it's thick. That's why it's taking a while. So far, I think I'll probably end up giving it 4 stars. You'll see soon what I actually gave it. Yeah, I think it's still a good book. It's 4 stars, I think, so far. I'm getting so much more used to the way this book's structured. The first book, it was a bit of a shock that the sections, the chapters were so long, and every time there was a new chapter it was a completely different point of view. Like, you were getting through 60 pages and then moving on to the other main character's point of view, and for that time I had to get through another 2 characters to get back to the first character to like see what happened next. In the first book that did like irritate me a bit because I wanted to know what had happened to one of the other characters and I wasn't necessarily as enthralled by the other characters. But now I know the characters from the first book, I'm more equally interested in all of them. And I think the way, the order that they put the characters in is really cool, because you're going back and forth through time about what happened when, and you're having to put that together and order it. And I think that little bit of like thinking this book makes you do, and thinking, oh, that happened then, and this means this person's seen that, and the like near misses in this book is really cool. So I am enjoying it. And I will read the last one in this series soon, sometimes this year. I have got it, so yeah. So that means in total for January, I read 1,153 pages, which is 2 books read, and that averaged 37 pages per day. We'll see how that changes. That's a pretty good average, if I say so myself. So I'll see you next time at the end of February. See what books I read then. So it's now the end of February. So I'm back here with you to talk about what I read in February. So I finished 3 books in February. I did finish reading the Dark Volume, Onyx Storm, and a picture of Dorian Gray. And then I read 976 pages in February. First book I finished was the Dark Volume. Now, I have spoken a fair amount about this in the last month, but I liked how this book continued the series, and the ending of this book was cool and unexpected, definitely. Very action-packed, which is good. I heard that some people didn't like this book as a continuation as much, but I did, because I felt like we knew the characters and that made it better because we knew them, and it wasn't like this new story, it was a continuation of the same like villains and things, which could have been different, but I feel like there was so many open questions at the other book that was fine. And I really enjoyed that book. I gave it 4 stars. The second book I read was Onyx Storm. that was 5 out of 5 stars. Here is my little book square. I love the continuation of this series. It's the 3rd book in the Imperium series, first being 12th Wing and then Iron Flame. I was so glad in this book that the dynamic between the 2 main characters continued, and there wasn't too many arguments, disagreements, forcing them not to be together. Like, just get over yourselves. But yeah, I thought what they were doing in this book, searching for certain things and battles and things like that, I really enjoyed it. I liked the new squad that they formed. I really liked that Riddock. It got some more airtime, page time, word time. I could see it was quite funny. Good character. A great romantic book, all in all. And then the final book that I read in February was The Picture of Dorian Gray. I haven't really read a classic before, except from in school. And this is the first one I wanted to read out of the classics. Because it was really intrigued me, the story of an artist and the different morals and psychology going on in this book. It was really cool. It wasn't exactly what I expected. I expected more descriptions, flowery descriptions, rather than just ramble psychology. But that it was still really interesting and I did enjoy it. I'm glad it wasn't very long, because otherwise that would have been a bit much. I mean, sometimes it was a bit like, oh my god, why is this person just talking? But no, it was still cool and I really enjoyed it. And I think if I read it again, I think I'd find more in it than I found the first time. But I'm not necessarily going to do that. But I think this is a book you could definitely reread and get more out of it the second time than maybe the first time. And the spread for this book was this. I tried to write in really fancy handwriting in metallic as well to make it look cool. I'll show you how my genre spread is going as well. So I've been telling how many books from each genre I've been reading. So I've read a little bit of variety so far, even though the first 3 are basically fantasy sci-fi. But there's different genres within genres which you can use. Adding back on to about this book, I read it really, really fast. I read it from the 23rd to the 28th, which is really quick for this book because I just devoured it. Read it really fast because I knew that it was a book that I would have to read quickly to get the most out of it and really enjoy it and want to read it. If you read it over a really long time, I feel like it wouldn't be as good, basically. It was 4 stars out of 5. But the best book I read in February was Onyx Storm, so that definitely won there. So see you next month when I'll be talking about books I read. Welcome back to the end of March. That has gone by so quickly, but you join me again for a little reading update on what I read in March. So here is my reading spread. As you can see, I finished 2 books in March and just started a 3rd right at the end. The first book I read was The Dragon Haven by Robin Hall. So this was the 2nd book in the Rainwild Chronicles series. So we joined the same characters again as the story progressed. And in this book, I actually rated it 5 stars. So better than the first one, definitely. Though I did think the first one set up the series really well. I just think all the characters actually had so much development in this book, and the like dynamics between the characters changed so much. And yeah, I probably got what I wanted with all the characters, so that probably made it better. Even though maybe not much happened in this book, it was really character driven and character focused. And yeah, the plot did progress, but it was 508 pages and they only, got to their goal by the end of it, so that's quite a lot of pages, but I did enjoy being with the characters for so long. And yeah, I can't wait to read the next one in the series at some point. There's 4 in this series, which is unusual for the Robin Hood books. They've all been 3 so far, but it's the first 4th one, and the only 4th one I think in the realm of the Eldlings. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was my favourite book of this month as well, so it was great. I liked how this book touched on kind of like nature versus, almost nature versus nurture, of the group of Rain Wild kids, how they acted like as a group in this book, and how there was hierarchy within this group, and it reflected perfectly on how the dragons had the same dynamic and hierarchy going on, but it was completely different and not necessarily to do with gender or anything for the dragons, but for the Rain Wild people it was really interesting how they did the guys fighting for the girls, and like how our main character really just couldn't care less about that and didn't think it was right, and then the contrast of the boat people on the boat and people from high society, Elise dealing with being on the boat and how it's changing and wanting that. And I think just everyone from very different walks of life in this book all coming together made it interesting, and how they each dealt with situations differently and reacted differently. It was, yeah, really well done. So the books that I made for Dragon Haven, just thought I'd draw a dragon basically. Might not be the most accurate in the book, but kind of how I pictured them. A little bit almost more reptilian, because they were originally serpents before they were dragons. So the next book I read in March was The Briar Book of the Dead. So this book I gave it 4 stars. Maybe it took me a bit longer than I was expecting slightly, or maybe that's just because the first one took forever to read. This book was a really classic fantasy book. It was about a group of witches, family of witches, coven, and how they kind of ruled this little village and protected it from other dark forces. And it wasn't, I thought maybe it was going to be about them protecting the village and battling those kind of dark forces, but no, it was all about the power dynamic in how the head witch dies and our main character doesn't have any magic, and it's about how it changes and the cousins and like family dynamic, and about ghost story and witches, magic. Yeah, it was really a classic fantasy book basically. My book has got a bit warm, and I didn't really take it that many places, but it's got really warm. And I take care of my books, but the gold on this book has really rubbed off for some reason. So, oops. I do love this cover, and that's kind of the main reason I bought it, because I saw it and thought, well, that looks really nice, the cover, and I thought, yeah, it's a good premise. So, but book covers do really draw you to them in the shop. I did enjoy how this book was quite gothic, and the descriptions and stuff fit quite hand in hand with fantasy. I wouldn't say it was an extremely dark fantasy in any other sense though. It was almost, I don't know if it is YA or adult, but it was leaning more on the YA side, but not entirely. But yeah, it didn't go too far in any descriptions of anything, but I still thought it was a good book. 4 stars, so yeah, I enjoyed it. So my spread for that book is here. I kind of tried to like copy the cover here and do the little patterns and stuff. So the final book that I started reading in March was It Happened Like This by Vicky Foster. So you've probably not heard of this book, but it's by a lecturer here at Hull, and I went to her little talk on it a while back. I did vlog that, so you can go back and see this vlog. Yeah, I've only just started reading this book, as you can see, but so far it is really interesting. The format of this book is very different. So as you can see, there's like clips from like newspaper articles and stories from that, and helplines, psychological reports, and then just like facts. So like each chapter is a different title. Like the first one's blood, so it's all about different connotations of blood and family and death and that, and it's got loads of different chapter titles like that. I think another one might be bone, but I'm still on the first one at the minute. The second one is mud, part 2, and I think that's just really interesting format, and I think it's why it makes it so far a good book, because it's not just a biography or anything like that. It's fiction, well, it's a non-fiction book, but with added twists of fiction, as there's a ghost of her grandmother in it, and it does follow obviously a true story. It's quite a hooking descriptions, like a lot of it's in second person, which puts you more in it, and if it wasn't doing anything like this, I don't think I would enjoy it, because it's such a unique format and way it's written. That's why so far it's a good book. I think I'll probably end up giving it 4 stars, but I'm only just into it, so you never know. So in total I read 906 pages in March, which is a little bit lower again, but I've been very busy with uni, so that's probably why. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and join me again after another 3 months has passed, where I can talk about my reads in April, May and June. Yeah, I hope you do like this format and do want me to continue on doing this, because I really enjoy talking about books and do that in my own time, as you can tell by my book journal. Let me know down below some of the books you've been reading these past 3 months and ones that you really recommend. So see you again next time. Bye!